It is quite annoying getting all these solicitors calling me all the time, and then it stops my videos, and it really annoys the crap out of me. Anyway, today what I wanted to say was, in this edition of Friday Story Time, I guess, is the unexpected things about being a stepmom, I guess I would say. When I joined eHarmony, it asked me, would you be interested in talking to somebody who has kids? And I was like, no, I love kids, that's fine. And for me, I was never going to say that talking to somebody with kids, or, that meeting somebody, like my future spouse, would not have kids. Like, that was just not something that was not on the table. It's like, no, they cannot have kids. Like, it just can be our kids. Like, that's ridiculous to say, like, that our my soulmate could not have kids. Like, I'm limiting myself. It's the same as saying that it would be the same as saying my spouse had to only be this size, or this shape, or this nationality. Or so one of those things was, it asked about kids, and I was like, well, I love kids, I'm always with kids. Like, I'm not going to say no, you can't have kids, because I do love kids, and because they may have already had kids. I wanted them to be open to having more kids, because to me, having children is very important, and being a mom is very important. Whether they're my own children or not, it's very important to me. And I'm always around kids, so if whether I had my own children or not, you're going to be around a lot of children. I drive a 7-passenger van. My other vehicle is a 7-passenger van, so duh. I'm gonna be around a lot of kids all the time, and so it's just common sense that there's gonna be kids around me all the time. You have to be open to being with kids all the time. My nephew and my niece were over last weekend, and my nephew's gonna be back this weekend, and my siblings are gonna be back this weekend. We're gonna be here this weekend, and Michael's birthday's this weekend, so we're gonna be around a lot of kids. And so I think for me, it's very important. So I wasn't gonna say oh, my future spouse, they can't have kids because it's just gonna be our kids. I honestly feel like dating somebody with kids is a great way to find out how they are going to parent, or how they are with your nieces and nephews. That is a great example, or a preview of how they're going to parent, because it's oh no, or oh yes, it's a great thing. And so I did have some rules, and I said I wanted to make sure that we were right, that we had a great relationship before I introduced him to the kids in my life, and I was introduced to the kids in his life, because I didn't want somebody to come in and then turn around and leave, and them get attached, and then him be gone. I wanted that great relationship. I want him to build that great relationship with them because they mean so much to me that I want them to have a great relationship with him too. And so I think the unexpected for me was I knew that I was going to fall in love with his kids. I knew that I was going to love him more because of his kids. But that my love for them was going to become deeper because of my love for him. And that I feel like when he's hurting because of something his kids have done, it hurts me more. When the kids do something, it hurts me a lot more because I see the disrespect that they have for him, and that peeves me. Like, it's not just they're being disrespectful, like, but if they're disrespectful to him, that peeves me more than anything. It's like, you are downright being disrespectful to your father, and how wrong is that? And I think that I wasn't prepared for that as much, because I felt like it was like, oh, you're just being a disrespectful child. But to me, it's like, that is your father, and how dare you? I think when they're disrespectful to me, it's like, oh, well, you're being disrespectful to me. But when they're disrespectful to him, it's like to a whole new level. And so I think that really, I wasn't expecting that so much. But I also was kind of shocked. I love how the bond that they have with each other, and how they like to spend time with each other, especially Michael with his dad. It's really kind of funny that their connection. And for me, like, I knew that we would build it. I think I was kind of shocked. I thought that Michael and I would connect faster, quicker, because he was younger, and it actually took longer. But I love the relationship we have now. I think it's great. I was shocked by how long it took, but I'm really amazed by how it is now. I think it is harder. I know it is harder. I definitely know it's harder to step parent than any other relationship that I've ever had. Like, being an aunt, being a sister, it is nothing compared to being a stepmom, or being in a stepmom role. Like, it is definitely a lot harder than any other role I've ever had. Like, I can do the same thing being an aunt that I do as being a stepmom, but for whatever reason, it's like kids think like they don't have to listen, or they give you twice as much attitude than a child who is your niece or nephew or your sibling. And I can tell them the exact same thing, and it is so weird, but it's like, oh yeah, it's the exact same thing, like, go clean your room, and I will get twice as much attitude. Then it is crazy. I'm like, what the heck? But I definitely, with stepkids, I feel like I took on, there's such a motherly role, like making sure you're okay, making sure your grades are good, making sure that you're taken care of, making sure you're getting your vitamins, making sure you're eating dinner, making sure that, there's so many things that you're constantly worried about, and that you instantly take on that mom role. And it's crazy because you don't even really think about it, you just do it. And there are so many awesome stepmoms that are bonus moms, as I call them, that kind of just walk into that role and just take over and do it, and they don't even think anything of it. They just do it. They do their role, and it's hard. It's like, it's harder to be a stepmom because you're doing it, but you have no rights to the child. And I think that's the hardest thing, is if something ever happened, you have no rights to that child after that. Like, if their parent died, the dad dies, or the mom dies, like, you have no rights to that child after that. And it's so hard because, like, you just pour yourself into the child. I think that's probably the hardest thing is, like, if anything ever happens to the other parent, like, my rights are gone. And it's just like the other day, even though my official title doesn't come until I say I do, like, Billy and I were, like, I was writing out Michael's invitations for his party, and some parents, they feel more comfortable, like, talking to the woman, like a woman, like the mom, stepmom, or something like that. And, like, I wrote all Billy's information, and I was gonna write mine too, and I was like, oh, that's probably really awkward, like, because they know Billy, but they don't know me, and they know Michael's mom, but they don't know me, and it's, like, such an awkward situation to be in. But then it's like, but I feel like it's just as, like, you are in those awkward situations where, like, do I just write the dad's name, or do I write my name, or should I be proud to just say, oh, I'm bonus mom, or I'm stepmom, or, like, it's just such an awkward, like, there's not, like, always a drop-down menu, like, this is, oh, stepmom, or, so, I don't know, it's just so complicated, you know. And I think, but I know it's the hardest thing is that if anything ever happens to the other parent, you have no legal standing, and you have no rights to that child. And so if anything, you know, anything happens to your spouse, you've lost that relationship. You've lost all, like, not saying that what you do is you're looking for a reward, but, like, you poured yourself into this child because you love this child, you love your spouse, and if anything, like, the worst case scenario does happen, your heart is broken in multiple ways. And, like, I can't ever imagine trying to heal when you can't see your child or your children and your spouse. It would just, like, oh my gosh, that would just be so incredibly difficult to comprehend. And so you just live your day and you're like, I'm not gonna think about it. So yeah, I can't even imagine, like, how my life would be after that. So yeah, I mean, definitely for me, I think, like, the awkwardness of, oh yeah, I'm stepmom, but then not writing it down, or, like, where do you live? And technically your child lives in 2 different homes. And it's like, when people ask that question, you're like, I hate that y'all ask that. Like, this is so normal that kids live in 2 different homes. Like, it's so normal. And it's like, oh. And then they look at you weird. It's like, oh my gosh, this is normal. Like, dude, half of America live in 2 different homes. Some people live in 3. So, I think that never gets, like, you never feel normal with that one. Like, oh, where do you live? Where are you from? Like, oh, I'm from 2 places. Like, my mom lives here. My dad lives here. Like, and I don't think that gets really comfortable for the kids either. So, yeah. It's just awkward. So, yeah, I think for me, like, the questions from other adults never gets any easier. And the questions from... And then, like, questions and, like, where do you place yourself and being proud, like, proud of your role. And you're trying to be proud of your role, but people make it extremely awkward. And then just, like, how your love for your child, and then when your child, like, and your love for your spouse. And so when your child does something and you're like, that was so disrespectful. It's hard. And, like, when you feel like when you know, or you feel like your spouse is really upset about something, and how that just tears you up because you know why. And it's just like, it's hard. And it doesn't get easier. So I think those are some of my things that were really unexpected, like, how much I would love them. Like, and I knew I was going to love them, but how much. Like, and because I love them so much, I want so much for them. I'm like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want this. And so, it does. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, guys, I know I talked a lot in this video, but if you're a step parent, and I know there's some step parents that have been watching on this, so if you're a step parent and there's anything that I missed here or that you've noticed that was unexpected for you, please link them down below and let me know. And maybe there'll be a part 2 to this video. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.